And we're back. And we're back. Yeshivas Geulas Shaul. We had another self and you're back as no one's here. And Rivka is in the kitchen where women belong. And yeah, so. And we're back.
And we're back.
And we're back. Yeshivas Geulas Shaul. Wartime ZOOMSHTEIG. Masechus Avodah Zarah. Oh, we have a Yid. A Yid is pulling up.
Two years.
And we're back.
Sam, how are you?
And we're back. Shalom Aleichem. It's okay, bro. We're just in the middle of doing the third and you're back of shir. And you're back.
And we're back.
And we're back. And we're back. She was doing a show. We got Slimy with us here. Yeah, right here. Sit here. So, hey, take a Gemara. Shalom Aleichem. Welcome to the Steig. This is not his first time. This is not his first time in a share. Just go a show, and it will not be the last. It's Hashem. Ezrat Hashem. Thank you for coming. All right, we're here with it. So this is Shlomo Yaakov, and this is DVJ. We call him Schligs. Shlomo Yaakov. DVJ. We call him DVJ.
How you doing?
This is Slimy. Where are you from?
Slimy?
What's your story? What? All right, Toronto. Yeah, and you don't know the Poslins. Yeah, there's no Poslins. It's okay. Shout out to Jacob Poslins, my first ever Talmud. All right, but he doesn't. He's too from to come to share this.
Ooh.
Yeah, my first ever Talmud, very stark. No, he'll come. He'll come one of these days. I just gotta get in touch with him. I think he lives in Israel. I actually gotta check up on what's going on with this Yid. Yo, Jacob Poslins, we're here with you. All right. Nun Dalid. No, just kidding. Nun Dalid. Amud Aleph. Okay, so where do we want to start from? Where do we feel like we chapped? So we're up to the Mazgiv Law Rav Ada Bar Ava. So we were talking yesterday about someone who worships an animal and does it become assur to bring to as a korban to a Kadosh Baruch Hu, assur nesar legavoa. So you're coming right. It's a new Indian, but it's continuing on. And so we spoke about, right? Can you assur something that's not yours? What if one guy bows down, or right, another guy forces him to bend down to his own idol, or if he bows down to his friend's cow or animal? Okay. So now Rav Ada Bar Ava is going to ask a question, and we have to see what his question is. He says, "Hi Nevad, who Bimus Baalmu." Oh wait, that is right. So here, so I'm trying to find where we should start. We covered some ground yesterday, and so Adavar Ava asked this case of we were comparing. Gemara just tried to prove that the idol which is worshipped, or the cow that is worshipped, is assur to bring as a korban to a Kadosh Baruch Hu. And they try to prove that by the Gemara that we learned 2 days ago, which was there are these squares, right? There are these squares that they would place idolatry on. And so they tried to prove one from the other. And so I'm sorry, they're kind of like right in the middle of a sugya, but we're gonna get our feet. Right? It says, Hi Nevadu. It's a bimus ba'alma. Who? Visharia. It's just one of those squares that carries the Avodah Zarah, and it's permitted, said the Mishnah on Nun Gimel Beis. Ela Amar of Adabar Ava Kigon Shenizach Lo Yain Ben Karnea. That it's not talking about that he just that the friend just bowed down to his friend's idol. It wasn't just a mere bow down to his friend's cow. I mean, but it was actually that he poured the wine between his horns, and that's a maisa. He's doing a maisa with the cow. If you bow down to the cow, it's less of a maisa to the cow. It's not a maisa. So the Gemara says that how can you assur something which is not yours because it's a maisa, right? I can't go over, right? Or Reuven can't go over to Shimon and say, I'm gonna worship your cow and make it assur to you. But if he actually does an idolatrous maisa with it, then it's kind of like, listen, I'm gonna bow down to your chicken soup and make it assur. I can't do that. But if I do a maisa and pour in cheese, then it's still kosher deoraisa, because chicken is only basar derabanan. But still is a derabanan. But then waiting between chicken and cheese is a gezerah to a gezerah, and Yeshivas Geulas, we just ask questions. By the way, I wanna take the time and share right now to actually be modeh to agree with what he wrote. We were talking about Eibeshitz and Shir, Rav Yochanan and Eibeshitz, and I couldn't get shot with the Sabbatai sugya. And so I asked a few rabbis from the Haredi world, and they didn't know, but I asked Rav Manovich, and he explained. He says, "Chas v'shalom to say that Sabbatai Tzvi, that Yochanan and Eibeshitz has anything to do with Shabtaut, and the raya is that his books were accepted in Am Yisrael, and he's considered one of the gedolim of the Achronim, and Yaakov Emden chasing Sabbatai Tzvi was one of three things that happened as a result from the trauma of Sabbatai Tzvi. One was that they forced the Ramchal to hide his Kabbalistic Sfarim. He wrote a second Zohar Tanina, and they forced him to hide it. Two is that Yaakov Emden chased Sabbatai Tzvi, and there was a huge period, and it was like a huge machlokes and Amshach because he was afraid of his Kabbalistic ideas. And three, says Rav Manovich, maybe that was the reason, the trauma from Sabbatai Tzvi and the fear and right. That was the reason that the Gra was against the Baal Tanya. Maybe Rav Manovich said maybe. So, anyways, we're talking about it in the group chat, and I asked the question, and Rice is like, "I'm just so to think about it." Right? No, but he was right. It comes out that Chas v'shalom to say that about Eibeshitz. His Torah was accepted into Am Yisrael. It couldn't have survived years and millennia and centuries, probably centuries, in the base medrash if he had any krum negiyas. We're not the New York Times. And Baruch Hashem for that. Okay. So back to the Halakha Gemara. So he did the Maisa. The Asa of Rav Yochanan. Right? It's like that story when Ula came. So where did Ula come? Ula came, does that mean he came to Eretz Yisrael for Bavel? I mean, the Gemara we are Talmud Bavli when Ula came, but we have to see where he came to. Amar Rav Yochanan. Abba Bisha Amru Amishtachav El Behemas Chavero Lo Asra Asra Asra. So Ula, and we saw this yesterday, so we might be going back, doing a little chazara. That's why we're going to the Rashi, But it's the first time Gemara. We see the Gemara. We need the Gemara, the Rashi, the Rashi. That's from Rav Ilson. Shout out Rav Ilson for that. So, first is Hi Neva Ravoy B'Tameya. Oh yeah, by the way, I want to do the Rashis also of the previous sugya that we were talking about, but let's get back to them. Let's actually do them right now. Okay, we got this, you guys. We got this. So, Maskiv la Rav Akbar Ava. Rav Akbar Ava asked a question. He says, "This is a nevad. You're comparing the case of that of the desk. You're comparing the case of the desk that holds up the idolatry to an animal who is worshipped for idolatry." Hi Nevadu. He says, "B'Tameya, this is a nevad. Nevad lo kari ela she'asa as a behema ad lavodas gochavim." This is not. This is not nevad. It's only called nevad when they make the animal itself idolatry. Hi bimus ba'alma shavia, right? It's balich I am lo mitzri mishum misham she'avodas gochavim. Okay, we gotta see the answer. We got this. We got this. Obviously, sometimes you gotta take a step into the deep waters. You're not even sure what's going on. Maybe this next Rashi, you can catch on and understand the Holy Torah. Kigon shenazach la, like for example, he poured it. Sha'azna avodas gochavim, that he made the animal itself idolatry. By doing a maisa, he makes the animal itself idolatry. He didn't just bow down to the animal, but he actually poured water, or not water, wine. Oh, Ziggity we never left. Let's go. Good to see you. By the way, Zig, I just gotta give you a quick update. The chalupshes get better every day. Me and Zig made chalupshes last week. They get better every day. Oh, speaking of the chalupshes, speaking of this, I don't know. I mean, we can maybe give our guests the chalupshes, come and see in person, get the chalupshes. Shkayach Rabbitzin.
Give an echo.
Yo, Ziggs, we're echo.
Okay, I'll turn it off.
Much love, brother. Okay. So, the other b'mayz aval b'mishtachave, avodah acheres, delo begufa. But if it's just davening to it, just bowing down to it, it doesn't make a shino in the goof of the behema. Right? Or it does different avodah that is not in the gufa, it's not metzar, davar she'en shelo. So he can't forbid a davar she'en shelo. Okay. Now we got it. The Heliga Echashi. Hey, Mr. should give us Yad Dishmaya.
Amen.
So he's saying like this. We had one yesterday, we had one Gemara, we had one Brisa that yesterday, that Nevad Shalo is Azar, but Shalchavero is Mutter. If he worships his friends cattle, so nothing happens to it. It can still be brought to as a korban to Hashem, right? You can't just go around worshiping my sheep, Moby, But then we have a Gemara which implies, it's not 100% clear what it's saying, but it implies that if you do this to your friend's animal, it's assur. So first, yesterday, the Gemara tried to come and answer and say no, because that's talking about if it's bitzina, that's talking about if it's farhesia. When the Gemara says it's assur, it's a gavoa, that's when it's done in public. But the Gemara brings, so that's one day, right? That's one day the Gemara brings. But the second day the Gemara brings, sorry for the bittul Torah of coughing and then explaining it. The other day is saying, no, it is talking about that it's talking about that you go and you worship your friend's animal, and one time it's assur and one time it's mutter. One time it's assur l'gavoa, one time it's mutter l'gavoa. One case is where you bow down to it. Okay, big deal. You know what the cow says? The cow says moo. You know, the cow says moo. What? You getting bowed down to? You know, but if you come over and you pour wine between the horns of a cow, you know what the cow says? Because it tries to catch it. You know? So that's a different story. That's already a vote of a goof. When it's assur, when are you assur your friend's animal? If it's over it beguf, and you know what? If your friend was able to sneak onto your farm and worship your animals against your will, well, you got better border security, you know. No comment. Let's just say if someone was about to worship my cow, it wouldn't take me 8 hours to attack, you know. All right, listen. The Avish should give us that this we're bliving fair. We have a cars tov to Zionism that it got us this far, but now we need something new. That's a super chill. And that is Yeshivas Shaul. And that is Mifleget super chill, Yeshivas Shaul. I was thinking of other names because Mifleget super chill, the whole thing it was in the ukulele case, whatever. We're not getting out of. All we're saying is, first and foremost, let's get our captive family back in the schus of the Torah that we are learning in their schus, Hashem.
Amen.
They can learn, and Torah is freedom. And we're learning in their schus that they should be freed, Hashem.
Amen.
And we're demanding that they're freed immediately and right now.
Amen.
And you know, and like healthy as much as like it's possible. It's unthinkable what they're going through.
Yeah.
And so we learn in their schus.
Amen.
And one day they can join Yeshivas Geulas show. Maybe they can cover the shtickle, you know?
Let's go.
Let's go. All right. So now we got the Gemara. We said Pshat. First, the Gemara asked the question, 2 possible answers, 1, right? And the answer that we're talking about today is that no, they actually did the Maisa, and that's the difference. Okay. Kiha, the Azar Ula, and that's like what Ula said. That's like what Ula said in the name of Rav Yochanan. So okay, so Ula came back from Eretz Yisrael. Ula came back, and Shligs, you know what Ula said?
What did he say?
He said, I just got back from Eretz Yisrael. You're not gonna believe the shtickle Torah I brought for y'all. You know, we're out here buying Coca-Cola and Hebrew shirts. You know, Ula comes back. I got a shtickle Torah from Rav Yochanan. You know, he says, Amar Rav Yochanan, Abba Bisha Amra Mishtaka V'Lemes Chavera Lo Azra. Even though they said that he who davens bows to the animal of his friend doesn't make it assur, because ein adam assur davar she'ein shalom, I put in parentheses. Also, b'maita, if he does a maita to it, then it's assur.
Do we have a question about what you just said about ein adam assur davar?
Yeah.
Shalom?
Do you have a question?
I think is there a question now, or that this should be, so if you did a Maisa, what's the difference? It's not yours?
Shlomo Rice with a major yeshivish kasha, a major kasha. What's the question?
that if it's not yours, whether you do something to it or not, shouldn't make a difference.
Okay, so I'm with you. It's a great question, right? And what you say, you sometimes get. So okay, so you talked about Avodah Zarah. Okay, whatever. He poured wine on the head of the calf. But what about Yaakov writes? What about if I go over to your children and I pour milk in it? Ain't Adam ozer davar she'ein shalom, right? No, but we say there the non-kosher is obviously bechefta. What I'm telling you is the ne'ebat of the Avodah Zarah is ne'ebat in the chefta. There was a shinoi chefta once you did a ma'isa to this. In the same way that that milk would make children treif, so too ne'ebat makes this animal a ne'ebat. It's a worship for idolatry. We have to remind ourselves how disgusting and terrible and antithetical it is. Idolatry, binitarianism, thinking that Satan has equal and opposite power to the Eivishter Chas v'Shalom. This is where Rabbi Elisha ben Avuya got confused about. And I say Rebbe, Elisha ben Avuya. You know why? Because we learn a lot from you. We learn what not to do. All right. It's a little slim. It's a little shady in the middle of shir. Okay. Amar lo. So they said to Ula, Amar lahu, Rabbi Nachman. Wait a tick. Amar lahu, Rabbi Nachman. So Rabbi Nachman says to them or to him, Rabbi Nachman says to Ula, Rav Nachman, he says, Poku ve'amru le'ula. He's like, go tell Ula. Targuma Rav Huna. Go tell Ula that Rav Huna already translated this for us. Translated it because maybe just like the Yidden in America don't understand Hebrew, maybe like the Babylonian Yidden, like okay, the rabbis knew Hebrew, but like you got to translate it to Aramaic. Maybe there's a different shot. We got to see the Rashi. He says, Dagmar Ravuna Lishmaticha. Ravuna already translated your shtickle. Bavel in Bavel. Ravuna says, if the animal itself is crouching under the weight of the avodas kochavim, kevan sheshachad basimin echad asra. Once you shech one of the simanim, we know that by shchita there's two simons. Once you shech one siman, already it's assur. Zog Rashi, siman echad le'avodas kochavim. So once you do one siman, you shech one siman for it. Meaning you do even the smallest maisa, right? This animal, maybe it was carrying Avodah Zarah around town. It was crouching under the weight of that fat Buddha, and it was not assur to bring as a korban if you take the Buddha off and whatever. But the second that you make one maisa in it, it's assur. So we're gonna ask Minolan the assur. Minolan the assur. Sorry for that spoiler. How do we know that it's assur? Ilema mikohanim. So if you're gonna say, I'll prove it to you from kohanim. The Dilma shiny kohanim to b'nei dea ninu. Maybe kohanim are different because they are b'nei dea. Now we have the sugya of kohanim. And Rashi here, Rashi over here, Rashi over here doesn't talk about it because we had this sugya from the Kohanim. Oh, he does. Just kidding. He named him the Kohanim. Every day from the Kohanim. She'ansu Malchei Yisrael as those komrim of Kochavim, that the Malchei Yisrael forced them a threat of death, a threat of rape. I don't know, but I think threat of death. They were going to kill you unless you become komrim, you become like Shibud or Liasos. You guys got to become the Kohanim for idolatry. And it says in Pashut don't come to worship for me, right? Like Hashem's like, yo, the new Gemara doesn't have the psukim that's brought in Rashi on the side, like my old Gemara did. But it's okay because it does. Stay you all out. Okay. It's a pasuk in Yecheskel. Lo yigshu alechaim lilagesh el go gadji el gadji kadashim v'nazu b'lim mazam v'toy v'zam asher asu. So if these Kohanim were forced to become Shibud Kohanim, right? They're forced to become idolatrous. And still Hashem says, I don't want them, but wait a second, this is ones. This is against their will. So this is Rav Huda saying over the shot that Ula said, right? Ula's like, yo, I got this crazy boy from Rav Yochanan. And they're like, oh, is anyone going to tell him? Rav Nachman literally said, Poku v'omru lo Ula. He's like, yo, is anyone going to go out and tell Ula that Rav Huna already said this shtickle Torah in Babylon? And so, like, tell Rav Huna, because Rav Huna says that the animal was caving under the weight of the idolatry. Only when he does one shechita is it assur. So the Gemara asks, well, how do we know that it's assur? By doing a meiser. So if you're going to learn that from the Kohanim, that the Kohanim became assur, even though they were forced, right? But they became assur. So if you learn from the Kohanim, the Dilma shiny Kohanim, maybe a Kohen is different than an animal, right? That is worshipped, right? A behema chavero that you shecht, a friend's animal that you shecht. Maybe Kohen's different because Kohen have das. An animal doesn't have das. So maybe a Kohen, yeah, they forced them to do it, but like they could have given up their lives, instead of doing Avodah Zarah, like maybe they should have. But we don't judge people in those situations. What decisions they may or may not make. It was probably not easy, They were getting forced by Jews, like what's happening in Rachman's land. That it's like the Jews versus the Jews. The Malchei Yisrael forced the Kohanim to become Avodah Zarah. It wasn't even like Bnei Yishmael. It was Bnei Yisrael versus Bnei Yisrael. Must have been really tough. And by the way, Shlegs, I did not know that story ever happened in Nach. I mean, Yecheskel is pretty deep in there. And a story like that happening in Yecheskel, how have we not heard of this?
Crazy.
We got to put not all, but we got to look into this pasuk in Yecheskel. Yecheskel, oh, it's so small. Mem Daled Yud Gimel.
Okay.
I'm going to look into it also. Mem Daled Yud Gimel. We should be thinking about this pasuk. Think about this story. What happened over here? Is this happening in Am Yisrael, and we're just hearing about it now for the first time? What is this? What is this? Sabbatai Tzvi in all religious circles? That's a good one, Rice. That's a good one. They don't talk about him ever, right? They don't talk about Sabbatai Tzvi ever, right? So they don't talk about this either. By the way, Sabbatai Tzvi is even more shaykh to the sugya now, because Sabbatai Tzvi, the guy who told over his Torah, was Nasan Ha'azati. Nathan from Gaza, bro. Really? He was from Gaza. Yeah. So, Shkoyach Rebbitzin on bringing Keshet Jews today's year is brought to you by Holy Juices. You guys thought I was gonna give any other juice a shout out. Even my
Amazing.
hometown Jews of the Golan, Keshet.
Amazing.
It's a substitute for Holy Juices when Holy Juices is already bought out of the market because it's so delicious that everyone just bought it off the doors, off the shelves. So then, second best juice, Keshet. First
Amazing.
best juice, Holy Juices, and the Yeshiva brand of the Holy Juices. It's called Juice in Jerusalem.
Let's go.
Let's go. Let's go, brother. We so got this. Since been so got this.
We got
Okay.
this.
Got this. So it says they in the new, and Rashi says the kinazar was kinaz. So you can't learn this out from the Kohen that you have to do a Maisa in order to answer it. The element of the Mizbeach. Rather, we learn it from the stones in the Mizbeach. Okay, now we're going to Rashi, but only because this is Chazar. I don't want to get you to get any ideas, right? Me'avni Mizbeach. Sheganzum Malchei Beis Chashmonai, that the Beis Chashmonai, they actually hid the Avnei Mizbeach. Mishum the Shikzum Malchei Yavim Lavodas Kuchavim. The idolaters, the Greeks, Chatoy, they used the Mizbeach in the base of Mikdash to sacrifice idols. The Abagav, the Hektish Avu, and even though it was Hektish, below Yachul Oved Kuchavim La'asran. Well, an idolater can just assur Hashem's Mizbeach. It belongs to Hektish. It belongs to the base of Mikdash. It's not in their rishus. How can you assur it? It's not his. Afilu Achi, even so, Kevan de Avud Maisa Asrina Rabbanan. Since there was they did a Maisa by bringing the idolatrous korban on the base on the Mizbeach on the base of Mikdash. They did a Maisa. So maybe this is the raya that you needed to do a Maisa to the animal to make it usher to Gavoa. Shalom Aleichem, HR. Always lovely to see your acronym and name and square. It is a big schos, shkach gadol. So Ella, so we learned it from Avnei Mizbeach. We said we want to learn it from the Kohanim. Harry, you just missed it. We had this crazy Maisa in Yecheskel that the Malchei Yisrael forced the Kohanim in the base of Mikdash. That was I guess in Yehuda or Binyamin, and the Malchei Yisrael forced the Kohanim to become like Kohanim for Avodah Zarah, Komrim. It's like a Maisa that we never heard. Did you hear this, Rice? You know about this?
Is it Menashe? You know Menashe?
Oh, Menashe was rough.
Is that what it's talking about?
I don't know. I'm blaming Shver. Listen, I'm too Yeshivas to know before I get to it in the sugya. I get to it in the sugya, then I'll learn Tanakh. You know? So anyways, Harry, just unbelievable sugya that we just learned. And so we said, no, okay, but we can't prove that you need to do a Ma'aseh Kohanim. Maybe we can learn it from the Mizbeach. That it wasn't until the Greeks, the Greeks worshipped idolatry on the Mizbeach. They asked for the Mizbeach. Viduma Kid Rav Papa. Well, maybe maybe it's like Rav Papa. And then they don't explain. So what is Kid Rav Papa? Duma Kid Rav Papa. Maybe like Rav Papa. The Amar Kra es Kachlu Vidarash Sheyatzu Lechulin the Kanzum Aovdei Goravim the Yachlu La'azran. Rav Papa, he was the one who said, no, really, there was a pasuk, and they forgot it, and they darshaned it, that when they didn't actually bring a korban on the Mizbeach of Hashem. Actually, what happened was the second those uncircumcised Shibud Greeks walked into the base of Mikdash, immediately it became profane. And so it was just chulin. and the idolaters made a kinyan on all of the kalim that was used for idolatry, right? And it became theirs. But then what about the Pach Shemen shligs? How? What about the Pach Shemen? What about the oil that they used in the base of Mikdash? But according to the Gemara, it was chulin. How did they use the oil? Maybe because that since it wasn't used, it was chulin, but it wasn't used for idolatry. And since it wasn't used for idolatry, and there was no ma'isa that happened to it, they were like, now we can be magnish this again. They were the guy the idolaters never kind of shot in the ma'isa of Hanukkah, just pouring off the pages here. Maybe it's like Rav Papa, right? And so the idolaters used it. Yo, Chigs. Speaking of Greek,
Shmeely Shmeel.
So Chigs, Reb Guy, here's the sugya. Here's the sugya. We're talking about, can someone make someone else's animal forbidden? And we go back and forth, right? In fact, so one of the answers that we're dealing with right now is that if he goes and he prays and he just bows down to it, it's not assur. The animal is not now disqualified from being brought as a sacrifice in the base of Mikdash in the third temple. But if you actually did a ma'isa, if you did an action and you slaughtered a little bit the animal, you cut it a little, or you poured wine between its eyes or between its horns, you did something to it, it's assur. So now we're trying to figure out, well, how do we know that it's not until you do an action to the idol or to the animal that the animal becomes forbidden? So we tried to prove it from a crazy case with the Kohanim, and we couldn't. We tried to prove it from the altar, and we couldn't. Ela Mikalim, right? I just reminded myself that I wouldn't have got the chicken if I knew it wouldn't fit. I wouldn't have got the lead if I knew it wouldn't fit. I wouldn't have got, okay. Right? We wouldn't have got, okay. Ela Mikalim, rather from the Kalim. We couldn't learn it from that, We learned it from vessels. Dichsev, because it says in Pashut, as kol hakelim ajeris niach hamelech achaz v'malchuzo v'malo. So all of the vessels that the king Achaz left in his attic v'malo, hichinu, they prepared it, v'ktishenu, and they remarked it. The Amarmar, and the master says, and we saw this a few dapim ago, what does it mean that they made it, that they prepared it? So these idols, by the way, this thing with Achaz, we saw this before. They were using it. I wonder if the Achaz thing is the same thing with the Kohanim itself. Yeah, we can't prove from the Kohanim that in the days of Achaz they were forced to do idolatry, but we can the Kalim that they use, right? The vessels that they use for their idolatry. So, and we explained the pasuk that what it means is that they prepared it, is that they hit him, and that he left. Oh, we gotta get more farm out here. That's my bad. We do have an English chumash inside, but we don't went outside. So, but his niach, last niach is like to leave. You guys see my hands? It's like last niach. So we learned from the Kalim. So all those kelim, they magdish, they were magdish, they sanctified other vessels instead of them. Okay, fine. So these Kohanim went and they worshipped idolatry and they became Kohanim, they became Komrim for idolatry, and so they themselves, they were assur. Oh, maybe they assur themselves, even though they forced to do it, because in the end of the day they had daya, they had intellect, they had free will, but the vessels don't. So how are these Kohanim able to assur these kalim? But the ain't adam ozer davar yeshlo, but a person cannot assur something which not is. Ella gave unto other buhumaisa, but since they did an action, they did a itzuri, they made them iser. Hachinami here too, we're worshiping the idol. Gave unto asa b'maisa asra. Since they made a maisa, it's assur. And that's how we prove it, that doing the maisa is what makes it assur. We don't learn it from the Kohen, but we learn it from the Kalim in that story. So who is the king in that story in Yechezkel? Maybe if it's the same story, we can say, I'd rather say, I don't know. I'd rather say, let's see those psukim inside. And Amir Hashem, we're learning major sugyas now. Chassidus in the morning, Gemara in the evening, sugya of Yishmael when we're just chilling. But this is this is some good stuff that we'd love to see. We have almost no time left to share, so if I have my my mandolele. Yes, please. So we got down to the dot, you guys. Today's year, we were like, yo, we don't have yadayim or raglayim in the sugya. But we just pushed ahead and said, you guys see another Rashi, and elucidated everything. The Helig Rashi. So Elam Kalim, Shel Beis Hamikdash, he's Nachem Achaz. So Achaz left them, and we think he left them after having them used for Avodah Zarah. So Israelu, Gozru Aleim Chezkiah V'Sayato. So Chezkiah came up afterwards, and his crew. Is there Olam? They made a gezerah, they could never use it. Avlahedja, the Tani Ganzum, they couldn't even say, okay, fine, go use this for scratching your back, scratch out. The law Rina Livrikan, Lukulan. They don't say send it to Lukulan, they say no. Since it was used, it's assur. It was used once, it's assur. And so too, the animal. If you do a meiser to it, it's assur. But if you just bow down to it, you didn't really do anything. I could have done that whole chazara while I was singing. I was holding the mandolele. But sometimes I get too in love with the Torah, and that happens daily. The Torah Kedaisha. HaKadosh Baruch Hu calls it our plaything. Lurei Seiras Kashashuai. Azavariti. Because it's a wasting. And I just needed a rhyme. I thought it would be sublime. We're trying to do chazar on the Gemara, Avodah Zarah, Tav Nun Dalet, shteigin. I got 1 minute left to share. We learned about the idolaters, and we learned about the chumrah of Avodah Zarah and how seriously we have to take it. And we know they're still around to this day. And we know that that's who we're actually fighting against. And they have infiltrated all the nations. The United Nations all worship Satan. They think that he's equal to the Eibishter Chas v'Shalom. That's called Trey Rishon. It's binary and Chas v'Shalom. And we know that he's just a Malach HaMaves. Satan is just a messenger of Hashem. He's a Chelik Eloha, just like the rest of the Bria. And he has no autonomous power. And that's why the Shibud can't create, and that's why they will never beat us. Even if they try to feed us fluoride, and poison our air and our water and our toothpaste. But we got Jews in Jerusalem with the freshest ingredients and also holy Jews and also kasher Jews. And we shteigin over here. And we shteigin over there. And we're shteigin twice a day by the